Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Cat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts.
Addicts, aficionados.
Ooh, I like that. Experts.
Experts.
Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of TV My Husband Hates with Reagan and Cat. How you doing, Cat?
I'm doing okay, thanks. I don't know, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that I've relocated to a new office and I don't have to put up with any of Jimmy's shit anymore.
That's amazing.
We were sharing an office before and that wasn't good for either of us or our marriage.
No, it never is. I feel like working in that close proximity or on similar projects is never the best idea for a marriage.
No. Especially during lockdown. I mean, we don't get a fucking break. So this is now we've got our own space. I've even put a little cubbyhole sleeping area under the eaves. So essentially,
you've got your own room
I
now.
never have to leave. Yeah, I've got my own. We've now got separate rooms and life is great.
You know, my husband's grandparents had separate rooms for like the last 20 years of their marriage. I mean, they were married for a bajillion years. I think they were married like 70 years before she passed, but like they had their own rooms for like once the kids moved out, they had separate rooms, and they said that that's probably why they were able to stay married so long, because they finally had their own space.
Well, funnily enough, my mum and dad have separate rooms. And sorry, every week. Oh, sorry, guys. Just every week I tell my kids that I'm recording, and every week they come in and choose now to distract me. So I'll get back to it. My mum and dad have separate rooms and have done for a while because my dad snores like a bullet train. But then also my aunt and uncle had separate rooms for a long time before my uncle recently passed. They slept separately. And maybe you just get to an age where you're like, I love you, but I want my own space. The rumpy pumpy isn't happening that much anymore.
Right.
Did I really just call it rumpy pumpy?
You did.
Am I channeling Lisa Vanderpump?
Apparently.
They're not fucking anymore. And basically, they were like, we just sleep better in our own rooms. And I thought, well,
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I sleep better by myself while he's here, because that never really happens. Like typically if Elijah
only
goes
when
away,
you've had a fight.
No, we don't even do that. We still sleep in the same bed, even if we've had fights.
To say we've never done that either.
Yeah.
We've never slept separately.
No, but when he's away and I actually have the whole bed to myself, I don't sleep that great for like the first night or so, just because it's like weird. Yeah. Now I'm responsible for everything and whatever. But like the third night in, I sleep starfish style, and it's pretty fucking nice.
No, I agree. It takes a couple of nights to get used to, and then you're like, why didn't we do this sooner?
And then I kind of resent him when he comes back like, oh man, I don't have my whole bed to myself anymore.
I made up the spare room for you. It's super comfy. Welcome home. Oh,
but I mean,
dear.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe when we get older, that's the way it'll be. I remember reading an article that Helena Bonham Carter and what's his name, the director,
Tim
actually
Burton.
had separate houses that connected
next door
in
to
the
each
middle.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't stop them getting divorced though.
No, that would have been a better story had they stayed married.
Yeah, would have. I mean,
that's a lot to keep clean. Granted, obviously they didn't clean their own house, so.
No, I don't. Yeah, probably not.
Anyways,
imagine having that life though, where you could just buy two massive houses in the most expensive.
Well, I guess didn't they have three? Because didn't they have like shared space in the middle?
No, they had two. They definitely it was just two, and they had a connecting door.
Huh.
I mean, why bother with the connecting door?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Where did the kids stay?
Anywhere? Running around feral? I don't know. Maybe they had a separate house for the kids. Maybe the kids got their own house.
Maybe. I mean, that would be the way to go.
That would be the way to go. I mean, both of us like saw some sort of euphoric joy then when we thought about our kids having their own house. Well, anyways, shall we get on with the show?
Yes, we should. We're back up to 4 shows. We've got a great new addition. I'm so happy New Jersey is back. We'll go into that a little bit later.
They
But
are fire. If you have not watched the first show of New Jersey by
yeah,
now, stop this podcast,
right.
go and
Go do
watch it
it.
and come back to it, because you will not believe how this season has kicked off.
It's amazing. Like these ladies never fucking disappoint. I've never had to force myself to sit through a season of New Jersey the way I have had pretty much, other than Potomac, all the other ones. I've had to force myself to get into them.
Me too. Atlanta, I don't want to watch.
No.
Honestly, I'm at that point where I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this.
Well, it's because they tease out the spiciest bits for fucking ages. And like New Jersey just throws it out there.
Well, and
Like,
I don't
fuck
think
it.
there are
We're gonna
that.
start
I
like
think because
this.
they don't have that many spicy bits. They're
Yeah.
just boring. And I
Yeah.
think, well, I'm enjoying Dallas. I'm okay with Dallas for now.
Right.
And obviously New Jersey's great. But I'm with you. We had a little conversation on WhatsApp, and both of us sort of said we're just a bit over the Housewives franchise. And I don't know whether that's because we watch a ridiculous amount of it,
Right. For
or
sure.
whether it's just not as good as it has been.
I kind of feel it's not as good. I
Yeah.
don't know. The Real Housewives of Miami is getting a reboot, but only on Peacock TV here. So I don't know if you'll be able to get it or not. You should be, because I think KU and Peacock are actually kind of the same parent company. So we'll see.
Maybe we'll get it there.
But they're bringing back Miami. But I just feel like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's just the whole concept is maybe played out of the Housewives. I don't know.
I don't know
Because
either.
I feel like
maybe COVID impacted it in a way.
fair. That's fair. Because I think why I like New Jersey so much is I feel all their families are really involved, and the dudes are incredible. Like I would watch the Real House Husbands of New Jersey 100%. And I
would
actually
too.
feel like that adds something. It adds to the franchise, whereas I think the dudes on the other ones are just like side notes, other than like hating Michael Darby.
Well, and I think there's only so much drama 6 women can bring
Right.
without it getting really tedious. And I think that's why Jersey works, because we
Fair.
do get the boys involved. Like we've seen the trailer. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but the
Yeah,
trailer
yeah.
shows that this isn't just the women throwing stuff at
No.
each other. You know, the guys are getting spicy, and that is another level. It's more interesting. There's more relationships. And that's always more interesting to watch.
Yeah. Well, and I think also, I saw this brought up on social media one time, like where franchises who've had high turnover rates, their numbers are going down and down. And I think this is why New Jersey's so great, because pretty solidly we've had Teresa's been on the show since the beginning, Melissa's been on the show maybe since season
More or less
2.
since the beginning, yeah.
And these ladies now that we have been like together for the past 3 seasons. I mean, other than Beverly / Danielle, whatever, popping in and out, we've had the same group. And I think you get more invested when like, you know, the relationship between them.
100% agree. And I think, I mean, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. I mean, Dallas, you can say the same for Dallas.
True.
That group stayed very, very,
very true,
consistent throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
love
that's why
Tiffany,
that's
though.
working.
Yeah.
I do too. I really love her.
Yeah.
But yeah, Atlanta, I'm really struggling with. But let's talk about it anyway.
Let's talk about it.
It's still on our roster, and you know, even though we want to get straight to the interesting stuff, we have to wait. We are waiting for. We're leaving New Jersey till the end, and we're kicking off with Atlanta.
Kenya is the worst hostess ever.
She's not great.
And I mean, I know she's got a lot going on, but I don't think she's ever been the greatest hostess. But I don't understand why she's always the one that plans the trips.
Well, she's always like, sometimes she throws a great party, sometimes she throws a great event, but it's always undermined by the fact that she has to be at the very center of attention.
Right.
That's kind of, whether that's negative or positive. And in this instance, it's negative. And I do not doubt for a second, like we've had our pre-prop chat, I'm definitely more sympathetic towards Kenya in a way.
Yeah.
So I am not undermining the fact that I think she's going through a really difficult time. And
100%.
When I see her sitting on the balcony with Candy.
Yeah.
I think that's real vulnerability. Like, we have never seen Kenya ask for help before. Say, I can't do this. I need help. And she says, I need help. And, and I was like, she's a total bitch, but She is genuinely really struggling. That being said, I'm not sure her decision, therefore, like you say, to host a party at this point
Right.
is perhaps the smartest idea.
Well, and there's just a lot of things that I get confused about. Like when she decides not to come back down and hang with the girls. Like I get that she has her kiddo there and she wants to spend time with her at night. Like I don't want to undermine like her desire to want to be there for her kid at all. But part of me is like, but you spend time with her and put her down. There's such thing as a baby monitor. Go
Right,
back
when the
down and
kid's
hang
asleep.
out. Yeah, like I feel like there are just things that normal people do
Yeah.
that aren't being done, and I don't know why. And maybe it is like it's just been a huge trauma and she's just broken deep down inside and doesn't know how to fix it. Um but I also don't know why like Candy's not like, why don't you just put a baby monitor in there? Like I feel like there's some real life practical shit that's not being talked about.
Well, I think there's a lot of emotions that are being triggered
Yeah.
all over the place. And I think Candy's highly emotional. Portia's just a little bit ragey. I don't think Portia would have brought P anyway. Honestly,
No.
I think she just is a bit annoyed that Kenya didn't give her the option.
Right.
And, you know, whether Kenya should have offered that or not is kind of by the by. The fact is, she's
Yeah.
got her kid there. Of course, she has a responsibility. Does it mean she misses out on trips? Maybe, maybe not. But I think you're right. She could have made more of an effort to
Or
host.
maybe
I
even
mean, even if you
explained it
don't,
because she kind of Irish goodbye, right? Like she just went
yeah,
upstairs.
she
So she could have
totally
been like,
did.
hey guys, I got to go take care of the kiddo tonight. You guys have a great time. I can't wait for tomorrow. Like there are
Yes.
like normal hostess things that she could have done in her situation to make it better.
And let's not forget, this is the last thing in a series of terrible hosting decisions, like just getting
For
herself
sure.
lunch. I
Who
mean, who
does
just
that?
gets herself lunch?
You can't even do that as a mom. Like that's not even part of being a mom. Like you eat last being a mom. You make sure everybody else has food. Like
I was astonished by that. Like, that was rude. Like that, I mean, I can forgive her the
fuck her.
baby stuff,
Right.
but you fucking fuck with me and food?
Yeah,
Nah,
for sure.
nah, nah, nah. You know what I'm like when I'm hungry. It's not pretty. And if I had
No.
to sit there and watch somebody eat a shrimp po' boy, I'd be,
It was a fucking
I'd,
crab cake po' boy. Like that's even another level. Not just bullshit
I'd
shrimp.
be seething.
Yeah. And I think that's what I mean. Like during our pre-chat, like I know I was very like anti-Kenya. And I'm not anti her because of what she's going through in the kids. Like that shit fucking sucks. And I can't even imagine how hard that shit must be and how much she has to do on her own. I also recognize she's also coming from a very privileged place. Like, if you can afford a private jet, you can afford maybe a nanny and a half. Like, not the whole night, but just a little bit of the night so you can hang with your girls. Or if you don't feel comfortable with the baby monitor, a woman to sit in that room while your kid goes to sleep. I don't know. But I just feel like, I don't know, maybe you just can't be an asshole to everybody all the time and then expect them to cut you some slack,
Yeah.
even when you
I
need
mean,
it.
there is that. I mean, I think they will. And I think Candy
Yeah,
will cut her the slack. But you're
for
right.
sure.
You know, what goes around comes around. And I just hope, you know, maybe she'll learn something. Maybe she'll come out this and go, you know what? I was a bitch to so many people. And yet when I
Yeah.
needed you, you all stood up and helped me out. So I'm changing my ways. And now I'm going to be a really right on, gorgeous human being.
I mean, here's hoping, but I'm not going to
I
hold
mean,
my breath.
I recognize it's a little
Yeah. But
hopeful.
let's talk about other people who are maybe just as bad as Kenya, but have never really realized it. Like Marlo, like this whole Marlo Kenya discussion. What's your take, Cap?
Listen, I think they're both as bad as each other. But when it comes to that relationship, I think they both nitpick. I think they both, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like put each other on blast and do all of that
Yeah.
stuff. I think they're both as bad as each other. That being said, I think this feels very different for me in terms of Marlo. I feel like for the first time, Marlo is genuinely concerned that there's a real rift in this relationship and
Right.
that Kenya genuinely hates her, that they've gone past the point of banter.
I think you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I've written down. I feel like Marlo's always thought they kind of had like a frenemy relationship, like it was kind of fun to kind of pick at each other and whatever. And then she's like, "Oh shit, she really hates me."
Yeah, I
Fuck.
agree. And it's sad to see because, you know, they are great friends. And I think when they're together, they're great fun. And
They're a lot of fun.
Marlo's got a good heart. And
You know
that's
what?
sort of the difference.
I
I
feel like
can't
they should
quite
just Sorry, go ahead.
No, don't worry, it's fine.
I feel like they should just go ahead and give Marlo a peach. Like, she's the hardest working friend of the Housewives I've ever seen in my life.
It's so true. It's so true. She I think she'd be good with a peach.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to
I'll
see
be
more of like
annoyed.
her life.
I'll be annoyed if Latoya gets a peach and Marlo doesn't. Do you know what I mean? If
I'll
that's the
stop
way that
watching.
goes.
I will put
Yeah.
it out there. I will stop watching if Toya gets a peach because
I
I'm not
cannot bear
fucking
her.
interested. I don't give a fuck about her life. I don't give a fuck about her.
She is a nasty piece of work.
For sure. 100%.
She's got bad energy, and I do not want her on my television screens any more than I have to.
No, I feel like it's going to be even dirtier next episode.
Yeah. We also saw during this episode the discussion, the verdict for the Breonna Taylor murder. Let's call it the
Yeah.
murder.
I mean, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Language
not a
matters.
Wanton. What did they call it? A wanton.
Wanton disregard. I wrote it down. Let me just get to it.
Good.
Wanton endangerment. It's like
wanton.
A low-level felony. Like,
yeah,
I think you get more time for accidentally, like, getting in a car accident and someone dying by accident. I think you get more time for that than you do for wanton endangerment.
Yeah, Tanya was saying that it's like being on your phone, getting caught being on your phone while you're driving. Like, you haven't actually caused anything, but you could have caused something.
Could.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit. Because she's dead.
Shot her dead.
Yeah. I mean,
it is disgraceful, and it's so sad to see the impact of that on the group, but also interesting to hear Drew and Tanya talk about a very different experience as Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, when you take slavery out of the mix, you have a very different race relation. And I think that's just the facts of the matter. Like, I don't believe slavery was legal in Canada. And I think you just have a different melting pot of people. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if one group hasn't owned another group, you don't have a lot of the tensions that we have here in the United States.
And I think as well, the gun carrying laws probably impact as well.
Canada's pretty liberal with their gun rules. Maybe it's not handguns, but guns are legal in Canada.
Yeah, but they're not. It's not quite as prolific, and it's certainly, I don't know. I don't think they've got quite the same relationship with the police as well. That kind of,
for sure. Yeah, I think the Royal Mounted Police have a much better reputation.
They sound very polite, don't they?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the joke of America, that like you can never really piss off a Canadian.
No,
they'll just always be super polite to you. Which is, I mean, it's total bullshit. Like, I know some Canadians that you can't really piss off, and I love them to death. But yeah, no, but I still think, like, with the police, like what we were talking about, I think if you take slavery out of the equation, I think that's where all of our issues stem from in the United States, is the ownership over somebody else and the feeling that that's okay. And it trickles down to like the police and all that. And it really broke my heart just watching a group of people realize another group of people doesn't give a shit about them.
Yeah, because you're right. When you talk about slavery, we're not just talking about slavery back in the day. We're talking about the continued sort
oppression,
of enforcement of slavery in certain circumstances. Yeah, and racism throughout the country still. And I think that's, I mean, it's awful. And to be the mother of a black boy in America would be terrifying.
Yeah.
So that was really, that's interesting. I'm glad that Atlanta's at least making some space for that in the show. And I think obviously thanks to Portia, that's why that's happening. I don't think any of the others would have watched that if Portia wasn't there.
I think maybe Candy would have. I get the feeling that Candy's got her finger on the pulse, but I feel like nobody else does. And it's kind of a weird feeling to watch. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously that didn't happen in this episode. This episode, they were all upset and
and affected. Yeah. And then finally, before we move on from Atlanta, the girls go out for dinner in the evening. Kenya makes it, which is nice.
Yes.
And Drew decides to go in for it.
Yeah, I mean, I know you and I both have mixed feelings about Drew, but I really like her upfrontness about things that she has questions on. To me, it makes me feel like she actually does want to be part of the group, but she wants to understand the group that she's getting into. Like she's coming in not knowing any of like the back dynamics. And I feel like in some level it's really good to have somebody like that in this group to really almost force the discussion, right? Because I feel like all this shit has been going on for years.
I agree with you, and I think what I do think though is that Drew and Kenya have kind of set themselves up against each other very
Yeah.
quietly and very sort of passive aggressively. And I think that Drew's intention is maybe 70% to really get in with the group and really understand the dynamics, and 30% to really have a go at Kenya.
I mean, fair. I think if somebody had been continually calling me a stray, I'd probably feel the exact same way. I think Kenya definitely is not the. I mean, I think neither one of them are the innocent party in this. But I think good came out of it in this discussion. Like, I do feel like it forced some real shit to come out. Um, I was
Did
a little
I?
dis. Go ahead.
Can I? Sorry, did I? I
Yeah.
can't quite remember because it is one of the shows I watched on Monday. But Kenya apologized. Did Kenya do an apology? She
She
did, right?
did. She did finally at the end, like after she got all upset because they were ordering food, which side note, I totally would appreciate Tanya getting food delivered to the table. Nobody needs to have that conversation. Hangry. Um, you
Bring
know,
me the food and the
I was a
cocktail.
little disappointed in Portia, like being on her phone and being disrespectful. I understand it, but I was disappointed in her nonetheless.
Sometimes Portia is so fucking fantastic and the grown up of the group, frankly. And then
Yeah.
every now and again, we see a touch of like Portia first season, this like child. And that
For
was that,
sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And I agreed with you. And I agreed with Kenya. It is rude. Like, I am going to
Yeah.
wait for you to put down your phone. Um, and that's just a little bit of Portia. And I think it's what Kenya does to Portia. Do you know what I mean? They're just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
great for you. They don't bring out the best in each
No,
other.
no, they don't. They're the Madison and Austin of Atlanta.
Oh, God.
Should not be together. But anyways, it's really ramping up for, the big chat of the entire season, which I think will be the next episode with Bolo and the Dick in the Box.
Oh, my God. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. I will just have to wait till next week.
I mean, it looks crazy, like to the fact that they're covering up cameras in the house.
Well, I mean, we've all heard the
Yeah.
rumors following this party. So
Yeah.
here's my concern, though, that this is going to happen. It's going to be something and nothing. And yet they're going to try and hang the whole season on it
Right.
because they've got fuck all else to talk about.
Well, I don't know. I know Tanya left the season after this happened.
Oh.
So I think it is actually something substantial. I don't think we've needed to wait until what is this fucking episode 10, which is halfway through this. I don't think we've needed to build it up this much, but I do think it's going to be choice for an episode. We'll see.
Let's see. Okay, perfect. Let's move on then. Okay, so thanks for taking a minute to listen to our adverts. And now let's get straight back to Below Deck, where the season has come to somewhat of an abrupt end.
It's the finale.
Before we start, let's just talk a little bit about Liz leaving because I'm really pleased they fired her because the drama was brilliant. And it also made me realize what a big fat baby she is. Like,
hell yes.
you can't be that lacking in self-awareness that this is such a shock to you, and then to be begging Chess and
Oh,
I mean, James, I honestly couldn't blame him for just going, see ya. She
yeah.
was crazy.
She's a nightmare. Like, I have no idea how someone can do what she did all season and be fucking shocked that she's fired to the point she's like crying and begging people to listen to her. Like, girl,
I hear you.
there have been a million chats.
It's shocking. It's shocking. Um, I cannot wait for this reunion. Please God, let there be a reunion, because even though the season in general hasn't been hugely explosive, there's been some really interesting personalities on there.
Yeah.
And I really want to see what Rachel thinks of her behavior when she's been drinking. I really want to see what Liz thinks of everything that goes on when she sees herself, but also when she sees what James is saying.
Right.
That's not going to go down very well.
No.
I want to know what Rob thinks about his attitude.
Ugh, Rob. I have seriously am shocked that like he went off the boat really fucking committed to this like dickhead attitude, and that fake fucking apology was so ridiculous.
And I was pissed at James for giving him that heads up as well, because it took real balls for Izzy to do that, because that's hard, right?
Yeah.
That's really hard. Whether you're a woman, to come down on somebody, one of your peers, and yes, all right, she's a manager, but that's still a very difficult dynamic to go into. She put her big girl pants on. She took her responsibility seriously. And even though it was over, she felt for her own self-worth, she needed to have this conversation. And then James just goes and ruins it by giving him a heads up, and he comes out and he's like, oh, by the way, sorry. And it's like,
yeah,
fuck off.
And James, we've really been pushing, like, we've really been Team James for this whole season, like chalking a lot of your shit up to like banter and other people not understanding you. But this was a real dick move. Like, you owed this to Izzy. She's been your fucking bunkmate for the entire season. Come on.
I agree. And also, the more I look at James, especially the way he is with Izzy, as much as I think Izzy is great, I think she's not making a fuss, but he's not actually been that nice to her.
No.
And that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. And I really wanted to like him because not only is he British, he's also Northern, but he is from the other side of the Pennines. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I mean, if you're from Yorkshire or Lancashire, you'll get that joke. If not, it will mean nothing to you. But trust me, it makes a difference.
What else?
Rachel and Chess in this episode. Not that it eventually matters in the end, but Rachel's commitment to hating somebody, regardless of her professional requirements, is really quite impressive.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I almost feel she just needs she's so upset and scared about what's going on that she just needs like a excuse to rage at somebody, and like she's chosen Francesca to be that person. Like, I just don't understand. And like part of like her going on is like that she feels Francesca didn't train Elizabeth properly, which makes no sense to me because Elizabeth like has had 6 years of experience. Like, you shouldn't. I mean, I could probably walk in and be a third stew.
Yeah, I could even after watching the show, I'd be.
Yeah.
I'd maybe even be able to hit second stew.
I was going to say, I think being a mom probably already qualifies you to be a chief stew.
Let's go straight in at the top. You're right. I've always said, like, running a house and a family, obviously not during lockdown when nobody's going anywhere, but during normal times when you're managing the schedules and the fucking budgets and the laundry and all the rest of it, I've always said it's like running a business. And I've also always said that if that was the case, my fucking family would be fired.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
They are useless.
The worst employees.
They're the worst employees ever. But yes, I agree. So right. I think Rachel has just got a hard on for Chess in a way that's like irrational, and she has to have it for somebody. So it was James, and then it was Chess, and I think even she gets it at the end. Like, I think even she does realize she's been a dick and does sort of apologize to Chess.
I mean, her behavior at that dinner when they had that cake was fucking ridiculous.
But this is it. She loves the rage, and she gets so blinded by it that it's not about finding a solution or talking it out. It's just about the drama and the rage and the anger. And that's not helpful to anybody on a personal or a professional level.
No.
So I came into this season really loving Rachel, and I left really having absolutely no time for her.
Yeah. Would you say, is she like your least favorite chef of all the chefs that we've seen?
Well, it's
Or
hard
your
because there
least
are
favorite
things.
human, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there are things as a chef, I can't fault her.
For
She's
sure.
outstanding.
Yeah.
As a human, I don't hate her because she's a terrible human. I hate because I think she's a very, very broken human. I think she does have a drinking problem of some description. I
Yeah.
think she is very tightly wound, almost like ADHD. There's something going on. And
Yeah.
I think that she's not in a happy place, whether that's COVID or whether that's just kind of how she generally
Right.
is. But the way that she treats people and the way, honestly, that she treats herself is not okay.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see her at the reunion. I feel like I want to have more seasons background with her to know whether this is weird or not, because I feel like it's so strange that it leads me to believe it's not normal for her behavior. I don't know.
And maybe that's the COVID effect as well. You know, we
Maybe.
know that her boyfriend's in Italy,
Boyfriend.
which
Yeah.
throughout this period was horrendous. You know, it
Yeah.
was awful in Italy. So there's a lot. Maybe I'm willing to give her another chance.
Yeah.
Because I'm, nice like that. But she so far she's on my shit list.
For sure. Um
Um, well, and then of course the big news comes.
yes, and everything's canceled.
And
Is that the big news?
that's the big news.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm surprised that I suppose I'm surprised they weren't affected more before this to a certain extent. I'm surprised they didn't have more questions over whether people were turning up before this.
Well, I don't know what the date when they ended. Wasn't
No,
it still in March?
I don't know. It's
I
hard to
think it
know,
was,
isn't it?
yeah, I feel like when they were putting the dates on the screen, it was still in March when all this was canceled anyways. So that was, I mean, I was at your house in March of last year.
Yeah.
So
Before we knew, though.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that was around this time as well. So I think like once everything really started shutting down was when they shut down, which is when we all finally fucking knew that we had to take it, what
That
it
the
was.
world was tits up,
Yeah.
going to hell in a handbasket, as Captain Lee would
For
say.
sure, for sure. But so I think it's just like a weird timing of the show. And it being in Antigua, it's like beautiful and nice. So for me, it always like triggers summer memories, which I don't think it was the case. Like I think it
No, it's
was like
winter, isn't it?
January,
Yeah.
February. Yeah. So I think they just shut down when everybody shut down. But I really liked that like Captain Lee got on with Francesca as like a new chief stew. I think that was a new thing for him. And Francesca gets a lot of hate on social media for the whole her and Elizabeth thing, but I feel like I've been watching again a different show as everybody else on social media.
But you
I
know
don't
what? This
blame
is the thing
Francesca at
that
all.
people, I don't. And the thing is that people are like, well, this isn't like, this isn't personal. This is,
No.
and we've seen Elizabeth drop the ball time after time after time and not just do that, but also really disrespect Chess.
Yeah, there was a
And
whole montage.
well, and on a boat, that matters more than anywhere else. Like this hierarchy
Yeah.
thing is a big deal. So it it's not okay. And we've seen Ash in tears over it as well. We've seen them both crying. Like she's made their life very, very difficult. So
Yeah.
it's not about whether Chess is a nice person. She's at the end of her tether on a professional level and she fires her. Um,
And she's a
which is
position where
hilarious.
she can do so. Like
Yes, of course.
it's her
She gets
prerogative.
to decide
Yeah.
whether
Doesn't
you
matter.
like it or not.
Well, and
So
Captain Lee backed her up too. And ultimately, like, that's all that matters. If he agrees and he backs her up on what she wants to do, then that should tell you who is the better worker on the boat, honestly. Because Captain Lee sees pretty much fucking everything.
he's a good judge of character. And it's
Well, and
interesting.
he go ahead.
I was saying it's interesting that she kind of ends up cutting the mustard in terms of replacing Kate. And you see a real comfortable relationship growing with him and Chess. And that's nice. I like to know that Captain Lee's got somebody to look after him when he's on the boat.
For sure. And I think he learned a lot. Like, I think he's now keeping a closer eye on everybody because of the last season that we watched when the dudes were so out of control. I think he was like, I have to take a a better role. And I think him hiring Eddie was part of that. Like, I think Eddie was a fantastic fucking bosun. We see that he's now been promoted to first officer under Captain Lee. And ultimately, like, Eddie's a little vanilla for me, but like, he's good at his job.
I absolutely agree. And again, this is credit to Captain Lee that he recognizes a good job when it's been done. He's keen to help the good guys progress. He recognizes that Izzy on deck was excellent.
Yeah.
Um, it's great. And also, while you were talking, I did just secretly Google, and they have filmed a reunion.
Excellent. I think
But
it comes
I don't
out
know.
next week.
Yeah, maybe it's straight out. That would. Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be brilliant. If it's only one, maybe we just include it in next week's normal episode. One thing Elizabeth has also done is she came out, like, there's this big article of her calling Captain Lee miserable and judgmental. So I think she's just fucking setting fire to everything.
Oh, she's just a spoil. She's just this entitled,
Yeah.
spoiled baby, and I'm over her.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but you don't talk shit about Captain Lee.
Not on our watch.
Nope. No.
No, sirree. Let's move on to Dallas, which was fine, but quite uneventful. Would that be fair?
Yeah. I mean, I think the place that they're staying in Austin looks incredible. Maybe we should do that
Incredible.
once Texas thaws. They're having a real struggle right now. With water and electricity and fucking freezing temps. It's not good down there at the moment. But yeah, we should do that once, the world gets
It
back to
looks
normal.
quite expensive, though.
It may not be. I mean, it may not be. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to do some digging. Or those of you in Austin, fucking let us know if you know what the echelon.
It's called the echelon, wasn't? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But really, for me, this episode was mostly about Carrie and Deandra.
Oh, man.
And Carrie, I'm team Deandra. Like, I think Deandra isn't.
Yes.
I think Deandra is hurt, mad, frustrated. Carrie is silencing her and undermining her.
And I'm sorry, I love like a month of celebrating a birthday, but how many fucking birthday parties are we going to throw for fucking Carrie this season? Like, come
honestly,
on.
It's
Too
obscene.
many. Yeah.
It's too many. For the love of God, just it's not all about you. And I think this is maybe part of the problem. They're putting her front and center, and she's nicer when she's not front and center.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I thought her speech was really nice, like at the beginning where she was like, I guess trying to make amends with Tiffany. But like the after effects of her listening to Deandra talk shit about her was not good. Like, her at the table literally embodied everything Deandra said. Like, her screaming at Tiffany when like Tiffany's crying. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, and this is the thing. Carrie's managed to manipulate all the other girls because she's already gone and cried in their room to get them on side. She's played the victim card.
Yeah.
So they're not seeing, and she's hiding what's happening with Deandra. She's playing it down on a massive scale. So they're not seeing the really awful things that Carrie's doing to Deandra, then kind of gaslighting her by going, no, it's nothing. It's fine. I wasn't bullying
it's obviously not fine. She's upset.
And then I get it when Deandra sees Carrie give Tiffany this really heartfelt apology.
Yeah.
And yet refuses to acknowledge anything between those two. I could see all of this. You could tell that Deandra was venting because she was hurt.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's shitty also to listen on other people's conversations.
Fuck
it's
yes.
shitty.
Like, I 100% agree with Jeremy. Like, if you are going to spy on people, then you fucking deserve anything that you've heard, and you have to put your big girl pants on and fucking deal with it. I don't like how Cam's involved. I think that's really gross. I wish I feel like there's no space for Deandra to say how she really feels. And that fucking bothers me because I think
that's how she feels.
Yeah.
She feels like she needs to explode because nobody is giving, she's got no room. And this whole, I don't talk behind people's back. I just want to call bullshit on this. We all talk about people behind their back. Like, that's what we do. Not necessarily badly, but sometimes badly. And we do it because we need to emotionally. And we tend to choose people to do that who will understand where it's coming from or, support us through it. that doesn't mean that we're being awful. It means that we're working through some shit.
Right.
And for Carrie to overhear a private conversation and then hold it against her and humiliate her at the dining
Oh.
table in front of everybody, and that, like you say, turn on Tiffany and make her cry.
Well, and
She's
all the girls
awful.
were like really anti Tiffany crying. And I was like, dude, if you have never lived in a screamy household of parents, then maybe you don't understand. But that shit is triggering. And Tiffany doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And she's just trying to like fit it, like find out where she fits in and make friends and be a good friend to her actual friend. Because I mean, she and Deandra have had a long relationship before this show. Like they are actual friends. And I think Tiffany did the right thing by listening to Deandra and then like off, trying to stick up for Carrie, like trying to figure out what's going on. And I think it's gross that the other girls made fun of her for crying. I was really fucked off by that.
I was too. And I think Tiffany comes out of this squeaky clean. I think she handled that conversation with Deandra perfectly. I think she handles it at the table perfectly. I think it's reasonable for her to cry. Also, let's not forget they've all been drinking tequila, and tequila makes people cry, right?
Absolutely.
So, and Tiffany doesn't seem like somebody who's used to drinking a lot of tequila.
No.
So if she gets a little bit drunk, cryy,
right,
that's understandable. But you're right, there was no empathy. But this is because I think Carrie has just managed this group in the most manipulative way.
100%.
And it is gross to watch.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable. Like, I wished I had been at that table because I could get really ragey. Like, I would scream back at Carrie. I wouldn't have just left. Like, Deandra handled it like she just left. And, I don't know. Like, I kind of wish Deandra would have stayed there and screamed at her.
I mean, I
don't know.
I don't know. You just don't know, because what can you do when you feel you've got no support, right? She's on her own.
And that surprises me by Stephanie, because Stephanie's usually like
too.
the empathetic touchstone that you can usually expect her to kind of talk both ways. But I think you're right. Carrie went and cried to her and like got her story in right away. Oh, it's dark, man.
Carrie's ability to manage these women is terrifying. Like, it's scary, because you're right. Stephanie should know better, and she didn't. And, I think that she's going to look back at this and look back at the montages of the way that Carrie has been with Deandra and realize where this behavior from Deandra is coming from. And I think they're all lacking that empathy.
Right. Well, and like
except
they
Tiffany.
know Deandra. Like they've known Deandra. They've known Deandra longer than they've known Carrie. And it's like, you know her. It blows my mind sometimes how much like people disregard like giving people the benefit of the doubt and be like, you know this person and she's not crazy. So maybe there is like a grain of truth to what she's saying. Like, I don't know. It's shocking to me.
Before we move on, I also just want to say this. I don't appreciate these people that are like, this is just who I am. Like, I'm fucking stubborn and I will call it how I see it, and basically screw
you just have to
the
deal
ramifications.
With it. Right.
Well, like, Carrie, this is not how it works. You have to bend and move and be flexible. And there are some people that can take you being full on and in your face, and there are some people who can't. You don't get to dictate that.
Right. And it's not a shortfalling of who they are. It's fucking you.
Yeah.
You're acting like a psycho.
But she's like, I'm going to behave how I like, and you can either deal with it or not. Well, then Deandra chooses not to.
Right. And also, I feel people forget that we all live in a fucking society, and we can't all live as a fucking island fucking everybody off all the time and letting people just have to deal with it on their own. Like, you have to get along with people to a certain degree. And unless you're just completely not self-aware, which I think is Carrie's issue right now, or Carrie is so fucking in this dark place that she just can't see.
And I think it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, our empathy can stretch that far. I can look at Carrie and go, you're being an abysmal human, but I can see where some of this might be coming from.
Right.
Even so, like, that doesn't give people the right to bully. Like, it can explain it, but it doesn't excuse it. She is.
And the whole, I mean, let's just talk about the whole bullying conversation where everybody else is gaslighting Deandra for fucking using bullying. And she's like, I know what being a bully is, and I am fucking choosing to use that word. Like, that's my fucking right as the victim of the bullying.
It's not about what Carrie thinks bullying is. It's about how she feels, and she feels bullied. And this is such an interesting dynamic to see because it happens day in, day out. People
Yeah,
sometimes don't even realize it's happening to them. And it's, Carrie needs to take a long, hard look at this because it's really, really damaging, ugly behavior.
for sure. 100%. And I feel like if her daughters were in any of this situation, like if her daughter was in Deandra's situation with a friend like Carrie, Carrie would be the first one being like, that's not cool. Like, whatever.
Totally. Totally. Okay, it's time.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Oh, New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey. So much to talk about. So much to talk about. But let's
Oh my
start off with,
gosh.
can we just applaud these women? Because they have obviously used their time off very constructively or reconstructively.
Reconstructively is 100% the key. I love how open these women are about the work that they get done. They don't give
Me
two
too.
fucks. They're like, yes, I got it all fucking lifted, tucked, new ass, new face, boobies are up and high. I don't give a fuck. I wanted it that way, and that's what I spent my money on. And I love that attitude. I hate people who pretend they have had no work done when they fucking have.
Just own it.
Yeah. All the
That's
sleep
it.
and water in the fucking world doesn't do that shit.
Yeah, when they're like, oh, I just, steam my vagina and
Yeah.
sleep for every other hour a night. And that's how I
Right.
keep looking so young. No,
Fuck
you had
off.
a facelift and that's
Yeah.
fine, but just own it.
Right.
Margaret's had a facelift. I'm willing
She
to
looks
bet she looks
incredible.
great. She's got new boobs. Not even
They're not even
fake boobs,
new. I
just
think
her
they're
own boobs.
hers. They're just up
Yeah.
high. Oh, I'd totally do
I'm
that.
signing up for that shit. My sister had that done because she had a
Did she?
reduction. Yeah, maybe I crossed a line. I think she
anyways.
tells everybody.
Yeah.
She had it done. She had a reduction. So essentially they did that and just like,
Yeah.
her tits are great.
That's amazing.
She doesn't have to wear a bra and she's 50
Oh,
something.
it's the fucking life. I mean, COVID life, nobody wears a bra anyways, but it'd be nice
I
to
totally
like
have
in
it
normal
done.
life. Yeah, for sure. And
In fact,
Dolores
I might start saving.
and
Yeah,
getting her new ass.
She's got herself a new ass or a couple of new asses. She had it a few times, I think.
Yeah. Just got a little saggy. She had it lifted up a little bit. I love Dolores, by the way. She is gorgeous.
She is knockout. I love her too. I do not love David.
He is the worst. She can get a million times better. Even, in my opinion, even original Frank is better. I love the way he was like, look at you and your new ass. You go. And David essentially wouldn't let her move into the house because she had work done.
Is that the reason? Does he say, is that the reason he wouldn't let her move in?
I feel like it is. He was very
he was never
offended
keen
by
on her moving
getting
in
work.
anyway.
Oh my gosh. It's such a weird dynamic, the four of them. Because I'm
gives
going to
him the
include little
right-
Frankie in that too, because that's a whole weird thing.
But who gives him the right to be offended about a decision she made about her own body?
Ultimately, I think he doesn't want her having unnecessary surgery because going under anesthesia is dangerous. Fair. But dude, you have not put a ring on her finger. You have not given her any respect on even showing that you want this relationship to continue further. Fuck you. She can do what she likes. She can do what she likes anyways. And you can have that discussion without being an asshole.
You can even be pissed off about it, but you can't stop her from doing it if that's what she wants to do. And as much as I get that unnecessary surgery is a risk that you don't have to take, I'm sure that there would be some statistics that would say you're more likely to die in a car crash than from anesthesia. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's not like you're putting yourself at massive risk, or certainly at more risk than you would if you were living your daily life.
And ultimately, it's her fucking risk to take. Like, honestly, like, David, you've put no fucking effort into even having a conversation or anything about where you're going to be in her life in 5 years anyways. That ass is going to be there and it's going to fucking look great. So, you know what? That's the safer bet, in my opinion.
She deserves so much better. And you say, like, even original Frank, I think, when are they going to see the light? When are they going?
I love original Frank, but I know he treated her really fucking shitty in the past. So like, that's always my hesitant, like the cheating and all that stuff in the past is always my hesitancy to like be, yes, Dolores, you need to be with original Frank. Cause she knows, like, you know, but I love him. I think he's incredible. I think he's super kind and loves her for who she is, and whatever she wants to do is fine. He's just fucking Team Dolores, and that's what I like to see.
But I also think it's really, like, their living situation is weird, but what's really weird is that David is okay with Dolores living with lovely Frank,
Right.
he's okay with that. Like anybody who really loved and adored somebody wouldn't be okay with that. Like
No,
I
because
wouldn't
he's
be okay with him living with somebody I was dating, living with their ex-partner who they got on so well with and had all this history and fucking children with. Like,
no, because Frank is essentially doing the heavy lifting in the relationship, right? Like he's doing the day-to-day relationship stuff. He's the date for a lot of these
yeah,
parties, but ultimately I think because the dudes like him too. Like Frank is a likable guy. I'd be very
totally.
nervous if I was David. Having someone
I
there
mean,
being supportive and lovely to like my partner 24/7, and I can't even take time off to like go to a friend's birthday party.
no, and I need Dolores to wake up to this. Like
Yeah.
I cannot watch Dolores all season let him get away with treating her like that. It's
No, and
going to
quite
break
frankly,
my fucking heart.
original Frank is better looking too.
So much better looking. David has this weird sort of baby
Ugh.
face, like it's not quite
A
right.
grown up.
Also, like I love bald men. I've always loved
Yeah.
bald men. I've always
I'm
found
married to
like
a
a
bald
number
man. It's
one
totally my
super
thing.
sexy.
Agreed.
But he looks a bit like a scrotum.
I think it's his coloring. Like he's
Yeah.
quite pale and
But he's
spotty.
got the freckles that make it
Yeah.
look a bit wrinkly. Do you know what I mean? It's a testicle. He looks like he's got a testicle for a head.
And his house is super. We were talking about this in our pre-prod meeting.
Oh yeah.
Like super sleeping with the enemy house.
I mean, apart from the fact that he's a doctor,
Yeah.
like he's got a head like a testicle. He's clearly a psychopath slash sleeping with the enemy Mark II,
Yeah.
and he's not very nice to her.
No. Why is little I mean, I understand why little Frankie wants to be there just because it's quiet and he can study, and Dolores's house is not quiet.
No.
I get that. But I don't know if as a mom I'd let him stay there.
It's weird.
It's a
Especially
weird
if I wasn't allowed to stay there.
right? When I've designed the entire house and picked everything out. Because that is not just a little job. That's a
No.
lot of fucking work.
Yeah, and she nailed it. Looks beautiful.
It
If
does.
not
It looks great.
scarily sterile. But yeah, she needs to wake up. God, I hope she wakes up. And I don't even care if it's Frank, just somebody who realizes what a gem she is.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Always love a little bit of testicle chat.
Yes.
Should we get on to the nitty gritty of this episode? Which, if I thought this is the thing, like in Atlanta, this would be the whole storyline.
We'd be 10 episodes in.
But here, this is like the tip of the iceberg. It's episode 1, and Teresa has already fucked everybody off.
Her behavior at Evan's birthday is unacceptable. My line in the sand.
Unacceptable.
You can't do
It is
that.
never, ever, ever, ever okay. Like maybe if you've heard a rumor on the QT when you are just with somebody else to say, I heard this, do you know anything about it? And then never speak of it again.
And not
But you
at their
don't-
birthday party with
And
all
then
their other friends.
Systematically work your way around the room,
Everyone.
making sure everybody knows.
Like, oh my God.
And Jackie's absolutely right. This has the potential to tear apart a family with 4 small children. This is not harmless gossip. This is absolutely the worst kind of bullshit. And unless you have receipts and you have proof, and if that's the case, you take Jackie aside, you sit her down, and you tell her.
And you do it the next day.
Anything.
You don't do it at the party. You never fucking do anything at a party. Have we never learned anything? Anytime anything is brought up at a party, it's wrong. Just shut your mouth, drink your drinks, and have a good night. That's all you have to do at a party.
Whitney Rose, have a good night.
Yes.
Exactly. Because she doesn't care. She's not here to, she just wants to spread gossip and be malicious. And it was nasty.
She does not give a fuck.
Even if she mentioned it once to Melissa and Melissa shut it down and it was like done, it's like, okay, well, it's bad, but it's not. But for her to actively go and find everybody and
she
talk
was
to them
everywhere
about it,
in that party. She was at every table.
Every table. And then shocked that, of course, it gets back to Jackie. Of course
it's
it was gonna
literally
get back to Jackie.
the one time I've ever agreed with Jennifer from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Like, if you don't have receipts, then you need to shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Like, that's just law.
also that's weird. I mean, we'll come back to the politics,
Yeah.
but just briefly, like Jennifer was such a grade A twat at the last reunion. Like she
Yeah.
came in hot and just we didn't figure it out. But apparently
It's all
everybody's
fine
cool
now.
with it. That's
maybe
fine.
maybe
Good.
it'll rear its ugly head later on. But
I'm sure. But yeah.
oh,
So anyway, the next morning, obviously, Jackie summons Teresa and Margaret
Margaret's.
at Margaret's house. Margaret's not happy about this. I mean, she is, and then she's like, "This was a really terrible idea." And that conversation doesn't go very well. Teresa,
I'm 100% Team Jackie on
me
the
too.
point. But Jackie should not have come up with a different analogy. Like, knowing Teresa, you cannot say shit. Like, the minute Gia's name came out of your mouth, we all watched her fucking shut down in rage. Like, we all saw it.
It's the thing with Teresa is that she's maddening because
Yeah.
I think Jackie gave her more of a chance than she deserved to make
Fuck
this right.
yeah. I mean,
far
Jackie's
more of
in
a chance.
tears on this couch. Like, come on.
This
Heart
was
of
not
stone.
a small thing. This was not a small thing. And Jackie could very rightly have just written Teresa off and said, I never want to see her again.
Right.
But she didn't. She's got a kind heart and she gave her a chance to make it right. Did Teresa take that opportunity? No. She doubled down. She kept doubling down. And I know that she's not the sharpest tool in the box, but anybody
Yeah, she knows what she was doing.
Handled that better.
For sure. For sure.
But you are right. Coming after somebody's husband is bad, really bad. Coming after somebody's kid, especially if it's like drug allegations, is about as low as it goes.
And I totally and Jackie didn't say that. She was like, it would be as if I said this, like as if this is what I was going around and telling everybody. And those were the exact words out of her mouth. I watched it a few times just to make sure I got it right. However, knowing Teresa, the minute you say her kid's name, you're done. She's not going to listen. She's going to rage. And to be frank, now, if you look at like Gia's social media, there's all this shit about her being a cokehead on all her social media posts. And a chick in college does not need that bullshit. And honestly, the internet is why we can't have nice things.
100% like coke. No, I'm only joking. And I agree, but I think you're absolutely right. There's nothing I disagree with. I think Jackie, though, and I think you can see it in that moment, just before she says the Gia thing, you can see she almost blacks out. You can almost see it on her face because that is not Jackie. And I think that is the extent to how damaging this has been and how much it's upset her and hurt her. And then more fuel is thrown onto the fire with Teresa's unwillingness to even meet her halfway.
Yeah.
And she doubles down on it and you can see her do it. And she knows as soon as the words are out of her mouth, she shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I understand why she did. I don't think it was right, but I can see how she got there.
For sure. For sure.
And while Teresa deserves that, Gia doesn't.
Yeah. No. Gia's done nothing wrong. Oh, man.
It's going to be messy.
It's going to be super messy.
And
even the previews for the rest of the season, like, holy
Explosive.
shit. Fucking Joe and Melissa. Drama. Antonia has a boyfriend now.
Joey and Teresa drama.
Oh, yeah. The mom, like him, because I think
said that she was responsible. Yes! She put him in the grave.
Yes. Oh,
I mean,
damn, man. I mean, this
you can't come back from that shit.
Family drama is just
brilliant,
fucking never ending. Juicy Joe will never fucking leave their lives.
Do you think it would be this? They would be this explosive as a family and this volatile and this shouty and dramatic and all the rest of it as a family if they weren't on a TV show?
I think so. I feel like the drama about Teresa's first husband, Joe, Juicy Joe, I think that shit would be happening anyways. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have gotten caught and
he was always a wrong un.
He's just super fucking wrong. And I think his injection into their family dynamic was not good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the very beginning when Melissa and Joe first came onto the show, they were already in a fight because like Teresa's Joe had done something, had talked shit about the family before like a christening of like one of Melissa and Joe's kids. Like, so I think this has just been how their family has worked for a very long time.
And of course, in the meantime, Teresa's father's died. And we know that, like, regardless of what we think about Teresa, she's very, very, very close. And she took her dad in and she looked after him. Yeah. And I have to give credit to anybody who does that. She did it while she was on her own with all those kids. Like, fuck yeah. Yes, all right, she's got lots of money. That's still an emotional drain.
I mean, she was dealing with Joe's bullshit during all that, too, because that was when Joe was in the detention center and nobody knew what the fuck was going on.
And so she's gone through everything with her husband. Yeah. She's gone through the loss of her mum while she was in, just after, being in prison. Now her dad and the deportation and all of that stuff. I get that she's a donkey on the edge, but even so, like,
well, this is what fucks.
She's very dangerous.
This is what fucks me off about Teresa, because we see Jackie say this at like the beginning of the episode. Like, you know what? We've all had a shit year, but damn, Teresa's had a shit decade. So I'm fucking fine putting shit aside because she has been through some shit.
Well, and also she's empathetic. That's the difference. She's got empathy and Teresa just doesn't. And I don't know whether it's because she just doesn't or whether she's just so screwed up after the last few years that it's very, very difficult for her to see anything beyond her own bullshit.
Or she knows what makes good TV because she's been there a long time.
All that too. I mean, here's the thing. She's not unaware of the fact that Bravo's making some serious changes to long-standing cast members. That's the other thing. Maybe this is all part of that. And fuck anybody who gets in the way.
Seriously.
Holy
but
moly.
I can't wait. I'm so happy it's back. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Me too. So that's us wrapped up this week.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Thanks so much as ever for giving us your time. Please, if you can, subscribe, rate and review. I mean, try and be nice, but if you've not got anything nice to say, then maybe just don't say it at all.
For sure. For sure. I mean, you don't have to let us know.
No, you don't need to let us know that we're irritating as fuck. Oh, have I still not let go of it?
It's only been a week.
True. And I can hold on to this shit for a long time.
That's right. That's right. It's your prerogative. You hold on to it as long as you want.
My podcast, my prerogative. Our podcast, my prerogative. Listen, thank you very, very much. We will be back next week. I mean, it may be that we end up spending the whole episode talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey. Who knows? But in the meantime,
I wouldn't hate it.
No, me neither. But in the meantime, thank you very, very much. And we'll see you next week. And remember,
smart people watch reality TV too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates by Jimmy Sims.